Hey folks, KILT-MAN here, KILT-MAN at your services. How are you all? I hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, rumour control. There could be some interruptions during the course of this video. A, the washing machine is on. Mistiming par excellence on my part, yet again. And I opened the back door just before, and who was out there waiting to come in? Jeff Goldblum. A big Jeff Goldblum, and he's been buzzing and flying around ever since. So, pray continue. Now, if you're not rushing out to go and watch the Crow reboot, who is rushing out to go and see the Crow reboot? Not I. Definitely not. Now, I do want to see it, but I'm not paying money to see it though. And the reviews are in, and it's a stinker of apocalyptic proportions, as we all kind of foretold anyway. But I kind of do want to see it so I can just report back just how shit it really is. But hey, hey ho. Anyway, we're going to talk about a proper superhero, a real superhero, yeah? Someone who's not as dark as the Crow, but still dark anyway. The Dark Knight. Batman, the caped Crusader. Yes, he's back again. He's never been away though, has he? And there's a new TV show. The entire lot is out there on Amazon Prime. And it's an animated series. Very, very akin and spiritually connected to the fabulous Bruce Timm and Paul Dini original Batman the Animated Series. Batman the Animated Series was set in a sort of a modern day period, but it was totally produced with Art Deco surroundings and film noir stylistic flourishes, and it looked amazing, sounded amazing, and was amazing. An absolute classic, a multi-award winner. And of course, Bruce Timm especially and Paul Dini have done many, many other animated Batman shows. And now they've got a new one. Well, I say they've got a new one. It's Bruce Timm who's done this, with fellow producers Matt Reeves, and J.J. Abrams. And it runs for 10 episodes. Season 1, 10 episodes. The whole lot's there. You can binge watch the lot. Me and my son watched it in 2 segments. We watched 5 one night and then 5 the next night. Easily done, because they're very Moorish. They only last about 22 minutes per episode. It's kind of standard for this sort of thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. But there's stuff to talk about. Definitely stuff to talk about. I'm a massive fan of Batman. You can't even see half the stuff I have erected behind me because I'm in the way of it all. There's tumblers, there's Batmobiles, there's all sorts of stuff going on behind me. But take my word for it, I love Batman. And I love most iterations of Batman as well. But a new animated show, which was geared towards a more adult audience. Gotta remember, the animated series and pretty much everything that came afterwards was skewed towards kids. They were Cartoon Network, or it was just kids shows. Yeah, they did push the boundaries a bit with a bit of violence and darker elements, but there was a kind of sense of karma and comeuppance to each of the villains, and especially in animated series, you got to know the reasons why they turned bad. Their tragic backstories, the horribleness of circumstance which turned them from good, God-fearing Gothamites to absolute god-awful gargoyles. And well, this series doesn't do that. You've got the rogues gallery so far, and but you're not really given, apart from Harvey Dent, you're not given a backstory to why they've turned as nasty as they are. They just are, and that's kind of like a bit of a deviation from the well-worn path. But hey, nothing wrong with that. I just want Batman to go out and fucking smack people. That's all you want. There's one rule: he won't kill, he won't use guns. Oh, bats, shut up will you? Waste them. You're a vigilante. You may not kill people, but you bloody well maim them, don't you? Fucking headbutts and body blows, massive bone crunchage. You don't stop, do you? I love Batman. If Batman existed, we'd all applaud him. And I think we do need someone like that. Ooh, what? In this culture now, you can't incite anything like that. You can't endorse vigilantism, and yet we love movies about vigilantes, and we applaud them and serenade them. Because they do the job that a certain legal law upholding organisation doesn't seem able to do very well. Get off your soapbox and drink your whiskey like a good citizen. Cheers, you all. You can hear the washing machine going. You can also hear the fabulous score. I've got all the scores to the animated series. The late great Shirley Walker and a bunch of other composers produced some massive, fully orchestral, beautifully symphonic scores for what was a kids' TV animated show. That shows how much prestige and care and attention they put in to that show. So anyway, the new one, Batman, Caped Crusader, is actually set in the 40s. So it is early days for bats, and you've got the Art Deco surroundings from animated series, and you have very, very huge film noir stylings. However, animation style, well, we'll talk more about this, but it's very colourful and very bright, and I did not expect that. It's very clean, very pristine, whereas the animated series really flourished with its sort of gothic noir stylings. This uses them, but they're bright and it's too colourful for what you're going for. It seems a little bit too colourful for my taste. But anyway, the show itself, 10 episodes, and yeah, they fly by. And you meet, who do you meet? Well, you meet Selina Kyle, Catwoman. You meet Harley Quinn, or what's her name? Harleen Quinzel. Don't worry, we're going to talk more. The Penguin. Onomatopoeia is in it as well. That's where everything he says is, every word, it sounds like what it's describing. Onomatopoeia. And I like that. I think it's great. And I can't think of a single sodding example of it either, but there you go. Harvey Dent, Two-Face, we get his story. We get Clayface as well, and we get Firebug. And we also get like a genuinely supernatural story. There is an overarching angle to it, but most of the stories are individual episodes, right? Wrapped up. But the overarching thing about, we've got a task force to hunt down the Batman. And you've got Jim Gordon and his daughter, Barbara. And you have Renee Montoya, the detective, tasked with bringing him to justice. And you have the detectives Flass and, who's the other guy? Bullock. Flass and Bullock. Flass is used a lot in so many of the Batman origin stories and what have you. And he's in it again now. And they're a great little double act, these two corrupt Gotham coppers who are on the take all the time. And they keep dropping themselves in it. They keep working for various people and doing their own little sideline stuff. But you've got to take down the Bat because the Bat's going to suss us out. But I like the way that they keep sort of coming up smelling of roses and getting, like, we're going to put you in charge of this now. And they're like, I'm not going to give too many spoilers to this, folks. I'm not going to do it because if you haven't seen it yet, it is well worth checking out. But anyway, so who else do you meet? Well, you have an episode which is entirely supernatural. You have, I think his name's Craddock, is it? Yeah, Jim Craddock, the gentleman ghost, who is like a sort of a headless horseman, only he's still got a head. And he's on a horseback and he's robbing his way through Gotham. But he's taking things from the people who can't afford to lose anything. He's not robbing from the rich, but he's a genuine ghost. And like this episode comes in, I think in the second half of the season, I think so. And it sticks out like a sore thumb because although he's this great glowing ghost and there's a curse attached to him, and Batman will have to make a sacrifice of someone's blood. Oh, what the hell? Alfred Pennyworth! He's going to have to make a sacrifice of his blood because Alfred gets possessed and attacks and beats the shit out of Batman in this episode. And you're like, what the hell? And that's a nice corruptible image there, isn't it? But the thing about Batman lives in the fringes. It's gothic. It is borderline horror only because of the look and feel and the mood and atmosphere of it. And his enemies can be really horrifying and terrifying creatures as well. But they tend to be human, or at least were once human, but they have superpowers. Now, I know that in many of the Elseworlds versions and expanded Batman universe, he has encountered all sorts of bloody creatures, the Xenomorph and Predator. He's done the entire lot. But in a show of this sort of caliber, it's gone really dark, hasn't it? So you mentioned Batman, it just goes dark. And but this is overtly supernatural because this is a genuine ghost. And you're like, well, hasn't that blown your world apart, Bats? Because, you know, you deal with people who are flesh and blood. This, you've got to enact a curse and a ritual to dispose of this guy who genuinely is a spirit from beyond the grave. Wouldn't that change your worldview quite considerably? I've battled a ghost. Well, everyone else is corporeal flesh and blood, but I've had to do this. Like, it's a supernatural being. And it's an interesting episode, but either once you've opened the doorway to the supernatural in Batman, well, you're gonna have to, like, you can't just like shut it again. Once that door's open, it stays open, baby. It stays open. That portal is always going to be there. So it was an unusual episode. Now, as I said, Bruce Timm is massively all over this, but Paul Dini is nowhere here, nowhere to be seen. He's not involved in it at all. And if anything, I think we miss Paul Dini's guiding hand. An excellent producer, showrunner, writer, brilliant. All the best of the animated series and every subsequent show was the fact that Paul Dini was involved in it. Bruce Timm is trying to evoke the sense of a noir Batman from the animated series. And I can't help but hark back to it because it so is spiritually connected to it. There's one of those umbilical cords linking the two shows together because of the entire visual aesthetic of it. But Bruce Timm himself, I think he rushes things too much. And like 10 episodes, season 1, shouldn't he run for like 20 to 24 episodes? The animated shows go on massively in their seasons. 10 episodes, that to me smacks of a lack of confidence in the material and the material. Okay, well, they change things. Look at the age we're in. Everything goes wokey, wokey, wokey. Let's change things for the sake of changing things. Let's swap genders. Let's also swap ethnicities. Let's do that. Because, hey, that's what everybody wants these days. That's what we expect. Well, it's not that it's unwanted. It's just, it's not necessary. Okay, so Jim Gordon and Barbara Gordon are now black. I can't recall them being black before. They may have been in some other show. I haven't seen all the other ones because some of them were very child orientated, much simpler ones like bloody teen stuff like and all that. Like, but so I'm not seeing some of them. But now Jim and Barbara Gordon are black. Detective Renee Montoya is a lesbian, and she's exceptionally fat as well. And like, that seems a very odd choice to have done. In fact, a lot of characters seem to be overweight. Again, part of the animation style, perhaps, but it just seems odd to me. Who else have we swapped? Well, as I say, lesbian. And I like that word, so let's say it again. Lesbian. Lesbians. I love lesbians, I does. I does. If I was a woman, I'd be a lesbian. I know that for a fact. Cheers, y'all. Now, lesbianism is something that Bruce Timm and Paul Dini did try to bring in to the animated series. They did. They wanted to, but because it was a kid, primarily aimed at kids on a Cartoon Network, they couldn't do it. But they did always want to bring that element in. Since the introduction of Harley Quinn, again, we'll talk more about certain episodes, but Harley Quinn is bisexual. Yeah, she loves her pudding. An unfortunate choice of phrase, but that's what she says. She calls Joker a pudding. And Mr. J and all that. But that's a very horrendous, abusive relationship she has with him. Now, in the ongoing saga behind not this show, she does have an assignation with Poison Ivy. They become buddies, friends, bosom buddies. They become friends and accomplices. But there is a kiss that's shared very famously, and it is massively hinted at in other media that she's bi and she loves Poison Ivy. Now in this, she develops this is Harley Quinn, an assignation with Detective Montoya, and it's Barbara Gordon that sets the two of them, together. A little blind date. Let's see how you two work things out, and you do get a big passionate kiss between the two of them. That don't bother me. Don't bother me at all, because it was meant to be there. This was always meant to be there. It's things that are changed for the sake of change and to appease what is now viewed as a wider market. So, episode 1, you have the Penguin. Oswald Cobblepot. Did I say Copperpot then? It's because I'm looking at this. Your genuine Copperpot. Look at that. There you go. Props everywhere here. One day they'll come in handy. But it's not Oswald now. It's Oswalder. Oswalder, voiced by Minnie Driver. Penguin is a woman. And a big woman as well. Another oversized, gargantuan, pointy nose, harridan. But she beats the shit out of Batman as well. But again, why is the Penguin now a woman? Why? Well, Bruce Timm actually got asked that question, and he said, why not? Shades of Ridley Scott there. Well, why not? Well, why? And he said, well, if you look at the Rogues Gallery, there aren't many female villains in there. Actually, there's quite a bit, but you've got to go into the Elseworlds and all the other stuff, and Batman Beyond. You've got to go beyond the normal, what we all know and love about Batman and his normal villains. Okay, I get that, right. Well, why not just create another villain who's female? Why not do that? Why not be original? Like the Gentleman Ghost, Jim Craddock. I don't recall ever seeing him before in anything at all. But he may be there, I don't know. But he seemed new to me. But so Penguin's now a woman with two squabbling sons. You've had this a lot in Batman as well, like the two sons or the daughters who want to aspire to the new empire. So can you trust them? And she can't trust one of them, but she blames the wrong one. And anyway, all hell breaks loose. And penguins everywhere. And it's an interesting story, but it's just you're sitting there going, what? Well, you can either just go, well, okay, it's a woman now, so what? But as I said before, it's changed just for the sake of pandering to a certain demographic. It is. There's no two ways about it. Well, why'd you make her a woman? Well, why not? No, you've answered the question. Penguin's always been a man, so you made him a woman. What? Why? Why? Does it change anything at all? And if it's not going to change the actual direction of the story, then why bother changing it in the first place? I don't get it. I do get it. I know exactly why they did it, and I don't agree with it. I don't. But hey ho, it is what it is. She is only in it for one episode, so although season 2 they're bound to bring everybody back. The thing about Batman is it runs its own cycle, then regurgitates itself and does the same thing all over again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And you get the origin story is always going to be there. Oh God, Martha Wayne and Master Wayne. No, hang on. Yeah. What's his dad's first name? I've forgotten. Can't remember. But they get wasted, obviously. And you always got to have the catalyst to make Batman become the Caped Crusader. But as I say, you change for the sake of just change is ridiculous. Gender swapping is definitely an agenda. Hey! Changing ethnicity is probably an agenda as well, but that's happened so much anyway, and that doesn't bother me anywhere near as much. It doesn't bother me at all, to be perfectly honest. I'm just wondering what they're going to do with Alfred. I'm surprised they haven't changed him too much. Made him like a transsexual, drag queen or something when he's not serving cocktails at Bruce's high bash doos. Or, Bane. Bane's not in this season at all. Bane, who my young protege here, Mr. Kentucky Fudge, has adopted the mask. What would he be? A non-binary Bane? A non-binary Bane.
You only adopted the dark. We were born in it, molded by it. We didn't see the light until it was... Hang on. Until we were grown thems. And by then it was blinding.
What is the plural for non-binary? It's we and they and them and us and... Oh, it's us, isn't it? Probably us. Anyway, that sort of thing is going to happen now. Is that what you want from Batman? Is that what you want? It to be progressive? When Batman is meant to be a vigilante, something we're legally supposed to frown upon, but we secretly applaud, and create more adventures for him. Dear God. You see the strange duality of this? And that fits in because half of these characters all have two faces. Batman himself, Bruce Wayne, who's, to be honest, in this you don't get to know Bruce too well. In fact, he's not in it a great deal. Batman's not in this show half as much as you think he's going to be or would like him to be. Oh, he's in it enough, but it's just kind of not. He isn't the main crux of it all. And his Bruce Wayne alter ego is a bit bland and a bit. He's a bit rude and he's very arrogant and does a lot of really wrong things. He doesn't call Alfred until the final episode, which I liked. He just calls him Pennyworth throughout it all, and then but at the end he calls him Alfred, and Alfred just goes like, "Oh, sir, master, what is it? You called me Alfred? Oh, what's wrong with that? That's your name, isn't it?" I'm paraphrasing there, but there's a little bit of banter between the two, butler banter, and but I kind of like that. Alfred's in it quite a bit, but he's always obviously the sidekick. But he gets his moment to shine by giving his blood up for a ritual and then being possessed and beating the shit out of Batman. Violence, yeah. This, alongside the lesbianism and the pure psychosis of certain characters, especially Harley Quinn, and certain themes that run throughout it, like abduction of orphans as well, and then being drained of their life force. Oh yeah, you got that. We'll come on to that one as well. It's violent, but so was the animated series. It was violent. This has a few. It's a bit more explicit and graphic. I mean, you see Batman getting a fucking knee, a knee in the cowl, boof, and there's a few stuff taking place. There's shootings. There are murders. There are definitely murders. But I wouldn't say it's not disturbing in any way, shape or form at all. The animation style is I don't like it actually. I've seen a lot of people saying in reviews that the animation's spot on, it's fantastic. I don't agree. I do not agree. It's not too far removed from the animated series. In this washing machine's gonna fucking take off in a minute. Maybe the Fly's got it. Jeff Goldblum's got it, and he's trying to teleport himself. Well, he'll be a lot cleaner by the time he gets to the other one. My God, it's like a police helicopter's landed in here. And they're all very big. They're wearing 40s style suits, so the massive shoulders are out there. But they all walk like that, and the shoulders just fill the screen. The little legs. You don't see them running very often because they're just like sort of like that when they're running. You don't want to show the little legs trotting about the screen. When they're talking to someone, horribly distracting. The person they're talking to is where you are, and I'm the person you're looking at, but I'm looking that way. You're talking to them. Look at them. Look at the person you're talking. And that happens a lot, and I kept getting taken out of it by that. The actual fisticuffs is pretty well done, but anything else, there's loads of moments where people are walking down roads and it just doesn't look right. And when they're running, it's like they're running on the spot. They're doing that run thing, but they're not actually moving anywhere. The legs are going do, but they're not traveling anywhere. And it's very sort of, immature styling. Maybe it's cost cutting. I honestly don't know. I have no idea about the animation business. I don't know how it works. I don't know how it gets funded. I don't know where they get the budgets from and what they think they're going to put into these things. But I know it could be done a hell of a lot better than this. Plus, it's exceptionally bright and colourful, which to me, you've got the Art Deco surrounds, which is lovely. You're very noir inspired. But where are the shadows? Where's all that? There are some, but it's over. Thank God for that. That little this last drive, you know. So, and there's acres of close-ups of faces. Now the faces are just, well, they're white or they're brown, but sadly there's no greenery involved in it, because when Harvey becomes Two-Face, it's just kind of like grey and sort of a few black wrinkles. It does look good, a sunken face, but it's not the colourful version at all. It's a very stark monochromatic version, black and white, I suppose. And but the faces take up huge swathes of the screen. Now, when there's no detail on the faces at all, that's like, it's just, if you watch it on a big screen, if you watch a 75-inch screen, and like, it's just a fucking huge white face, and the eyes, like I say, not looking in the right place, and the mouth is just the flappy mouth style. Like, there's no nuance at all. It's just, and maybe I am nitpicking, I admit it, because I love Batman, and I really think it's been done so extremely well before that it's a bit of a shame that this doesn't meet those standards. Don't get me wrong. After the misstep of the Penguin, I thought, oh, what are they going to do with this? And then I've mentioned the other elements, to be honest, and I'm largely okay with all that. So there's not a lot sort of ethically or morally that I'm asked about. It just seems redundant to just do it. Why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? You know, just change the gender just because. Anyway, music-wise, I'm getting the complaints out the way. Music-wise, it's fucking awful. Fucking awful. You're hearing the great symphonic scores to Batman the Animated Series. And even The Batman had a great score to it as well. The Batman. I love that. This is a guy called Frederick Weidman, and it's absolutely unmemorable. Even the main title sequence, which goes for the gothic noir look, you know, and I like the way it does this actually. It shows clips of what you're going to see throughout the season. There's always him smashing through a window, you know, and like landing there, the cape billowing out. There's always that shot's going to be in there. But the rest of it's very sort of, this is the only really noir element, because it's shaded lots of blacks and greys, and it's very muted. But the main theme, I couldn't hum it for you because it doesn't exist. It just when you think it's going to start and do something, you're into the episode. Oh, is that it? Now, ordinarily, I get the soundtracks to everything that I review, anything I'm interested in, and this I have not got. It's available, you can get it, and I'm not saying that I won't get it, but I'm in no rush to get it because it's vastly unmemorable. No real indistinction or anything that sets it apart from. No episode or no character has any of their own themes that you go, oh, that's pretty good. Whereas all the previous stuff always did, and it always worked. This doesn't do that. So, what else have we covered? The lip flapping, the eyes not looking at each other, the non-sympathetic backgrounds to these villains. I mean, I suppose we know these characters so well that you don't need to do it. That you should, change things up a gear. Maybe you should. It does do things differently, the way that these characters actually act. And Harleen Quinzel, has her own. She's in a couple of episodes, or is it 3 episodes? And when you finally uncover that she's a fucking maniac, and she's got a lot of other disappeared psychos in her, she's almost what do you call it when you go to someone's house and you don't live there? Well, apart from robbery and that, like squatting. She's squatting in someone's mansion, but down in the basement she's got a lot of these sort of these nut jobs, and she's using very unorthodox methods to treat them, shall we say. Very violent methods. Batman will end up in there, and Barbara Gordon will end up trying to save the day. And yeah, it's interesting, but she won't last long in the season. She goes out, but she can definitely come back. Selina Kyle, Catwoman, can come back. She's only in it for one episode, and the thing about that, it's good, but I don't want to say too much. You know who she is as Selina Kyle, but then you find what she's moonlighting as Catwoman. But just explain where she gets the huge gymnastic athletic abilities from. How to fight and duck and dive and run and leap and jump and all that. You get none of that. Maybe in season 2 they're going to explore the backstories more, and you might get a longer season, maybe 20 episodes, something like that. So each character will have maybe a lot more flashbacks will be told as to why they reached that position, why they turned as bad as they did. Maybe. I'm up for season 2. I did enjoy this season. I had a reasonably good time because it's fun going like, oh, why did they do that? There was loads of bits that me and my son had to replay again because we were laughing that much. Just animation bits. There's a bit where Jim Gordon yawns as the phone rings. He's just sitting there, and it's a bit closer because ring, 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 and he jumps, and like we'd be like, and in the mid yawn, he breaks into direct conversation. It's interesting. It's funny. Onomatopoeia has some rather bizarre animated movements as well. Yeah, I don't know. And cars on the street, car chases, they're filmed. And I like this because when they first had a few car chases, I was like, I'm enjoying how they're doing this. The camera was sort of positioned low down. Well, it's animating, I know, but so you're looking sort of, and the cars are coming at you. But the angle was quite clever, and it was a bit unusual. However, the car chases aren't that exciting. And don't go thinking, there's some elaborate crashes, and the way they turn corners and swerve, it's a little bit pedantic, In fact, my son was remarking at another car chase. He said, why is there never any other traffic on the streets? There's never anything else. And as he said it, other traffic suddenly appeared and a collision took place. And he went like, shit. But at least they did address that, like they were listening to him at the time. So, cheers, y'all. I think it's Christina Ricci plays Nocturne. Now this was set in a carnival, a fun fair, and she is the daughter. She's, what's her name? Did I write this down? Natalia Knight, the daughter of Anton Knight, and she has this rare condition where she's depleted of energy, but she can suck the energy out of other people. So she lures young kids there and it's kind of, think Hammer's Vampire Circus, which is I've yet to cover that. I've talked about it a lot on the channel in the past, and I'm a massive Hammer devotee, of course, and covered a lot of their stuff. But Vampire Circus was set made during the time when Hammer was dying in the early 70s, and they were just trying new things. They're being more graphic, more explicit, and this definitely is. But it's one of its really disturbing themes is adult vampires luring young kids. So they're very horribly sensual deaths. Now it does kind of, you watch it now, well even then it was troubling, but it's even troubling now. So at least Hammer was not afraid in its dwindling days to try something more outrageous. But you have that aspect. So something wicked this way comes. I suppose you could always, maybe it's inspired by that as well. But Nocturne, as she is, Natalia Knight, will suck the life force out of these kids, and they're really drained. But she'll end up fighting Batman. Now you've got to remember, she's only a young girl herself, so a young girl beats the shit out of Batman. He gets the Penguin, Oswalder, kicks him to bits. Alfred kicks him to bits. A little girl kicks him to bits. So they are trying different things, I suppose. And that episode, though, I think it's called Nocturne. I could be wrong about It's not a bad one. I quite enjoyed that one because I didn't know where it was going to go with it, but it was quite clever and a bit subversive as well. And that's Batman works best when it's subversive and it's genuinely dark, not just stylistically dark, but its themes are dark. Batman always deals with psychosis, split personalities, schizophrenia, homicidal tendencies, sociopathic tendencies. You know, and the fact that it isn't just like Marvel, where I know they try and bring a lot of like emotion and morality and mental instability into all these sort of characters, but Marvel just wants, you know, pow, pow, soft, bang, you know, and great action. Batman always strove to be darker than that and to explore, you know, psychosis. And this definitely has a little dalliance with that. So, yeah, I liked it. I definitely look forward to a season 2. I think things will change. I think, as I said before, you might get recurring. The main ones are going to come back because you can't write them off. They're going to come back, and you're going to find out more about them, I presume. I think they'll take on board some of the criticisms that have been levelled at it. They won't change anything gender-wise. Not going to reverse anybody now, are they? Of course they're not. But they might even do more of it. I don't know. As I say, non-binary Bane. Spooky that. But it's definitely interesting, and it was good fun. It was 2 nights well worth it. We watched like the first 5 episodes, and I said, "Oh, should we watch a couple more?" I said that. And he went, "No. That's just my son. Let's preserve. I'll have another session tomorrow night, and we'll go through all the rest." So we did, and it was great. And in all honesty, I could have watched more again. Had it been 15 episodes or 20 episodes, consecutive nights would have been filled with this. Consecutive dark nights would have been filled with it. So I do recommend it. I definitely recommend it. Batman Caped Crusader. Harvey Dent. He's in it throughout, but the last 2 episodes, the last 2 focus on his downfall and then vendetta, and it's handled pretty well. And I like the way all the other characters are brought into it as well. So it becomes like a big sort of a two-header, a two-facer basically, and it works. It's pretty damn good. Acid chucked in his face and all that. And okay, it's not quite as grisly as you think. Even though this is more adult orientated, it's still it isn't that grim, that nasty. Oh, you do have the as well as Batman crashing through a skylight and landing with the cape unfurled like wings. He's always hanging someone upside down as well to interrogate them. Swear to me! It's one of my fucking favourite moments ever. The anger that he puts into his incarnation of Batman is outstanding. Christian Bale fucking owned it. Swear to me! God almighty. And but the character in this will be hoisted aloft and hung upside down on one of those overhead train tracks as a train is thundering towards him. Now, before you've got to give up the information, like otherwise she's going to be, squished. And when I was watching it, I thought, from where Batman is holding him, the train tracks couldn't possibly be that close to someone's, these tenement blocks. They couldn't be that close. So they've twisted physics. Oh, it's a fucking cartoon, KILT-MAN. Give it a break, will you? But they've twisted things a bit too far there. Batman can't hold him like 30 feet out, Maybe he can. Maybe he's got go-go gadget arms now as well. Got every other fucking gadget going, hasn't he? And I like the task force that gets set up to take him down. The mayor instigates a task force, and Jim Gordon Jim Gordon doesn't quite know yet whether he can trust Batman. He will by the end of it. But reluctantly, this task force gets set up. They're in like the SWAT boiler suits with body armor on, and they've got these dizzy helmets on. But when you see a few of them together, it looked great actually, and they get smacked around a bit as well. But overall, the Bat is back, and it's good fun. It's definitely enjoyable, and you've got to accept what they do these days. Well, or maybe not accept it, but it won't alter anything at all. And again, going back to Penguina, it didn't make one bit of difference. They've kept Penguin as he was, and it wouldn't have changed the story. By making him a woman, didn't change the story in the least. A dad with 2 sons, a mother with 2 sons, and like one's betraying, and it wouldn't have changed a damn thing. You did it for the sake of it. And you know, industries have got to stop doing this. Movies, TV shows have got to stop doing it just to pander to that's another lesser known Batman villain. You've had the Penguin, now you've got the Panda as well. Pandemonium. There you go. I've just created a Batman rogue. Pandemonium. But yeah, I recommend it. Oh, Amazon Prime. There's one thing you will not like about that. God, they throw in adverts. Now, admittedly, there's only 1, maybe 2 ad breaks in each episode. There shouldn't be fucking any, as far as I'm concerned. But they put them in during a scene. They don't wait till the scene ends. They just throw it in like random. Like they just spun the wheel and like an ad just suddenly drops. But what I will say, the ads are well, in our experience, been very, very short. Literally 5-10 seconds. Just very quick, almost American style commercials. Just bingo, there it is, and then you're back in the show. But they do it in such a way that you've got no idea when it's going to happen, and it hits in the middle of a scene. They don't wait for it to end, you know, for it to go dark and the next scene begins. Perfect timing then. But no, you do it when someone's talking to someone. Whoa, hey, you like that? And that show has not dated. It's still magnificent. And, oh, there's someone I didn't mention. Well, yeah, Puddin', Mr. J, the Joker. Okay, look, I said there wouldn't be that much spoilers, but so fucking what? Your very last episode, everything's been wrapped up. The Harvey Dent Two-Face story's been done. And now there's a sort of détente between Jim Gordon and Batman. And yeah, and then you think, oh, right, so season 1's now ended. Oh no, there's a little after shot, isn't there? Somewhere, someone's got people who have laughed themselves to death. Their faces are big rictus grins, but they're dead. And you hear the voice of the Joker. So he's coming into it. Oh, as if he wouldn't come into it. I'm saying he. Who the hell knows? But the Joker's coming into it. And my son said, oh, I hate the way they do this. Even like Matt Reeves, the Batman, which we absolutely adore that movie. And at the end, the Joker's in the cell where the Riddler's there and they start talking to each other. And yeah, so you're foreshadowing what's coming next. I don't have a single problem with any of that. I love that kind of shit. Yeah, oh, well, we're going to do this next. In fact, in both cases, in Crusader Season 2 and in Batman, the Batman Part 2, you might not get the Joker. He might be pulling strings somewhere in the background to make things happen. Because I think, especially in the movies, you build up the Joker. The Joker is one of the greatest villains you could ever comprehend. And of course, Heath Ledger's incarnation is legendary. Heath, legendary. And it'll never be topped as far as I'm concerned. Cesar Romero in the Adam West Batman scared the absolute shit out of me. The fact that he refused to shave his moustache off, so he had to put the white makeup over his moustache, and it made him even creepier. Who turned out the lights? Christ alive, what's happening? Someone's having a joke at my expense here. Put another coin in the meter, somebody, please. But I don't mind this sort of thing at the end, like, oh, you're going to bring the Joker in. And oh no, I've said that bit, haven't I? I mean, in the films and the next TV series of this, he could be just behind the scenes, just seen occasionally or heard occasionally. and an overarching story would be his involvement. You get individual bits, but you save him for, like, in the movie's case, the third movie. You know, you build up to him. Oh yeah, you've got Clayface in here as well, and I like what they did there because they went back to the original. So it's the Bob Kane and Bill Finger, their version of Clayface, and he's a Z-grade horror actor. His heyday is long gone, but his face, and he wants his face to be, you know, more malleable because he's just got this stern, horrible face all the time, which is cast as a fucking monster. And his name is Basil Carlo. Is it Basil Carlo? Did I write this down? Basil Carlo is his original name. This is a great play on Universal's monsters, of course. Basil Rathbone in many horror movies, and Boris Karloff, of course, and BK, you know. Anyway, and it's good. It's a good horror themed, sort of horror themed story. So there's a lot to love about this show. The music is not one of them, and the animation is. You may like it. I just thought it lacked genuine style. It was too bright, too colourful, too crisp, too clean, and too big. It was just so many close-ups of faces when there's no detail, no contour on the faces. You've just took up half your screen with nothing, just nothing, and I don't know, it just doesn't look good to me. Right, folks, I'm out of here. So, if you have seen it, comment below, let me know what you think. Are you looking forward to season 2? When do you think it's going to come out? Is it already in the bag? You don't know, do you? I think they were testing the water with this because they knew they were changing things. They were going against what, you know, ardent, die-hard fans may like, pushing their tolerance a little bit, and just, you know, we'll put this out there and just see who bites, who doesn't, and then see what happens next. Right, folks, happy though we shall be KILT-MAN. Please, in the meantime, in this ever bat-tastic in-between time, please keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, keep it noir, and keep it Art Deco. And I'm going to see you all. Swear to me!